Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So if you see behind me, it looks like I've kind of masked everything up again with plastic, and basically I'm ready to spray again. So this is the primer stage again. So I'm gonna basically spraying the areas that I've missed, like over here, and some of these areas I'm gonna be respraying because it's just kind of transparent a little bit. I mean, you can't really see it on camera, but you can see when you shine the light to it. So I gotta clean up this whole area here. Since I can't move the car, I've basically just used a towel and a bucket, and I've mopped the floor with that. So I mean, even if I spray with a hose, it's not gonna get perfectly clean anyways. So that's perfectly acceptable. So before I spray, I'm just gonna wet the floor this time. Because I noticed the newspaper lying around didn't really do a good job anyways. So yeah, basically I gotta figure out how I'm gonna set up in the back because I still have like the bumper and stuff here. And I do want to, I've washed these already, and I do want to get the bumper ready. So before I can even spray, I have to do another wipe down of alcohol and then tack it, and then I could spray. So I'm not sure if I'm spraying right now today, or I'm gonna do it maybe tomorrow or something like that. But today, basically gonna set everything up, and then I'll film again when I start spraying. This time I'll be using the Fuji Spray system. Alright guys, so you see at the back, I've finished priming. I used the Fuji Spray system to prime. I'll probably be showing you guys some footage prior to, I guess, me ending the video right now or going through the car. But this is another day already. It is, I guess, the third day. I sprayed the first day, waited for this to cure, and then I sprayed the second day to spray the bumpers, and then this is the third day for it to cure. It does stink up the whole house. So I used this primer here, this low VOC Dominion Sure-Seal stuff. It's a build primer, it's a direct to metal, works on plastic and other substrates. So this is what I sprayed with. I actually ran out of the primer when I was spraying. But I'll go over all the stuff that I sprayed. I used the Fuji system, and I'll tell you how it is and what I think of it so far. I haven't gone through the base and clear yet, but I will. But this is my review on just the primer stage. I did get the 1.8 tip to spray the primer, as recommended by Fuji, and as recommended by the Dominion Sure-Seal on how to spray the primer. So you can't really spray with the 1.3 tip. You need to upgrade the tip. And the tip wasn't cheap. It was pretty expensive too. So I spent almost another $100 just on the tip. So let's go over all the stuff that I sprayed. So I sprayed the spoiler here. I did forget to, oh, there's a fly in here. So I did forget to connect the air at one point, and then I was spraying this, and then it just blobbed a whole bunch of paint on here. So that's why you see drip marks. Other than that, when it was fully atomizing, it was actually spraying onto the car perfectly fine. This is a build primer, so it's not meant to be super smooth and stuff. So you're gonna have to block it out regardless. So at least I am going to be. It's not a sealer or anything. It's just a build primer, and I could spray basically base right on top of this. It's fine. So I finished spraying the filler pieces. Now you notice it's not fully sprayed. Some of the epoxy is still showing because it wasn't meant to cover everything. The epoxy did a good job on some of the spots. It's just meant to hide some of the bodywork that I was able to see through with a light. So there's a spoiler. Here's the hood. The whole hood's primed. This area here I kind of missed. You see it's a little bit light here. You can see the paint through it. It's fine. I've covered up majority of the bodywork on here, so I could block this out and make it look okay, and then just spray base and clear on it. This has a little bit of a crease from what I noticed in the lighting, and that's due to like this side being like, I guess, hit before, because there was I guess a dinghy somewhere around here that I had to whack down. So this side is a little bit bent, but that's okay. The hood itself is still pretty even and it's still okay. I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's not meant to be perfect, but here are the fenders. Got the fenders fully covered. I got the whole roof covered except for some of the streaking up there, which is because, yeah, I missed some spots. That's why it's streaking. I hit the sunroof. I managed to get those two, I guess, sunroof visor points, and that managed to hide any of the rust or the bare metal that I cleaned the rust off of. This area where the sunroof was sitting is all nice and smooth now. This was, you know, all the body work. You can't even see any of the body work anymore. I'm really impressed with how good this primer covers. And there's the rockers and stuff. It actually looks really good. And I managed to spray this whole area because you know, the emblems went here, and there was like some parts that I sanded through. So for the most part, I got everything. This pillar over on the passenger side, I didn't really hit because it already had epoxy primer on there and it was already well covered. But for the most part, I got everything. I even sprayed this. I even sprayed this area here where I seam sealed and all that kind of stuff. So it's nicely covered with the gray primer, and I think it did a pretty good job overall. Here's the bumpers back here. This is the rear bumper. So there are certain things that I should have filled, but I didn't. So little dinghies. It's plastic, right? And I'm not gonna sand through just to hide this. So I left a whole bunch of dinghies. I only filled the major stuff. You notice that here it looks a little bit different from the rest. This is done by basically a roller. I ran out of primer when I was spraying this, and then I realized that there was a spot of body filler that I didn't like cover up. So what I did was I just dabbed the roller and I rolled it on. So that's why it looks a little funny. Still sanded off nice and flush, and it should be still good. So these pieces here, as you notice, I was getting at this one, and then I started to get to the rest of it, and then I ran out of primer. So what I'm gonna do is just sand all this down. So it's gonna be a lot of cleaning. Sand it all down, and then I'm gonna just spray paint right over it. It should be okay. Like for the most part, I should have just sanded it, adhesion promoted it, and then just sprayed base and clear, but I didn't do that. Here are the doors. Here's the front bumper. So the front bumper, I managed to get most of it fully covered. There was a lot of body work on this molding piece here, and the primer covered it all up very nicely. So yeah, and then I managed to do the mirrors as well right here. Whoop. So there's pieces that you can still kind of see, but I can sand it a little bit smoother and then base and clear it. That's okay. But yeah, I have the fans going on the back there, double fan, because just venting out the garage is pretty stinky in here. But that's basically the car. Well, as far as the Fuji spray system goes, it sprayed perfectly fine when I didn't kink the hose. I kinked the hose once and then it started spitting, and it wasn't the prettiest thing. But as soon as you unkink it, you're able to fix that and just spray right back. So just make sure if you guys are using any Fuji system, the hose isn't kinked. I didn't even notice it until it started spitting weird because it kinked like around the car. The hose is actually very difficult to lug around. It's a thick hose. For the most part, it put out enough air to spray this and atomized perfectly fine. So I think for the base and clear, it would do just as great of a job. But I don't know. My honest opinion about the gun is it's a lot of work to clean because the gun has this U connector for the gravity cup, and it's not very good to clean in there, because you can't take it all apart to clean. You have to clean with the cup all attached and everything. At least that's recommended by Fuji, because everything is sealed apparently. So it took me like a half an hour just to clean the gun. So when I go between base and clear, it's going to take some time. Another thing is I got those chemical resistant seals for the cup, because apparently the one that comes with the gun is not chemical resistant, and solvents will swell it up, and then if you're going to be cleaning it in between spray sessions, it's going to swell up and you're not going to be able to spray. The chemical resistant seals are not very chemical resistant. What I did was I took one of the seals after the spray session and I wiped it with lacquer thinner to get any of the primer off of it. What happened was it expanded, and when it expanded, it didn't go back onto the cup. Luckily, a pack comes with like I think 5 gaskets, so I just swapped the gaskets and it's okay, but I don't know if the other one even shrunk back yet. I'm pretty sure it didn't, because it was a lot longer. It just wouldn't sit in the cup anymore. So overall, I guess the Fuji system as a budget system is fine for what it is. It's okay system. I mean, it's cheap for a reason, and you're able to kind of do all this kind of work with it. So I'm taking it to the next extent by spraying a whole car. But you know, if you're doing one panel, like just the hood or just the roof, or one panel at a time, it's a decent system to do. You could do everything on it. You prime, base, and clear. But those gaskets, I'm pretty upset about those, because you know they weren't cheap. They're about like 25 bucks ish Canadian, and they expanded, and they're supposed to be chemical resistant. And I've been using lacquer thinner to clean everything, because that's what you use to clean, I guess, parts for like painting. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of sanding now. I'm just gonna get to work and start sanding everything. I'm not gonna show you guys footage of that, because you guys don't want me to, you wouldn't want to see me block and sand everything, because that's just boring. But I'll show you guys again when I start base and clear. I'm probably just gonna set up the tripod and just have one angle and shoot, because it's just too much hassle to just move around and move the camera around in different angles. But you know, that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you haven't already, please comment, like, and subscribe, and maybe share the videos. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.